The alarm blared through the small medical station on Epsilon 9. Dr. Hannah Kim jumped from her desk, spilling her cup of tea across her reports. The outpost rarely received emergency signals. Located on the edge of human space, Epsilon 9 was little more than a research station, an occasional supply stop for passing ships. "What's happening?" Hannah called out as she rushed into the main control room. Her colleague Doyen looked up from the monitor, his face pale. Something crashed about 2 kilometers from the eastern perimeter. Not one of ours. Hannah grabbed the emergency medical kit from the wall. It was a simple thing, designed for human patients with basic injuries. "I'm going to check it out. You should wait for security," Doyen said. But Hannah was already heading for the door. "If someone's hurt, they might not have time," she replied. The air outside was thin and cold. Epsilon 9's atmosphere was breathable, but not comfortable. Hannah pulled her jacket tighter as she followed the smoke trail rising in the distance. The landscape was rocky and bare, with patches of blue-green moss being the only life that had taken hold on this world. As she approached the crash site, Hannah slowed her pace. The ship was unlike any she had seen before. It was not human in design, with a sleek, curved hull that reminded her of ancient sea creatures from Earth. One side was torn open, revealing the dark interior. "Hello?" Hannah called out. "I'm a doctor. Is anyone hurt?" A low, rumbling sound came from inside the ship. It wasn't mechanical. It sounded alive. Hannah hesitated only for a moment before climbing through the torn metal. Her eyes took time to adjust to the darkness. When they did, she gasped. Lying on the floor was a creature straight out of Earth's myths. It looked like a dragon, scaled and massive, with a long neck and powerful limbs. Its scales shimmered with an iridescent blue-green color, but many were dull and flaking. The creature's breathing was labored, and a thick, dark fluid leaked from wounds on its side. "A draconian," Hannah whispered. Draconians were rare in this part of space. They were an ancient species, powerful and proud. Humans had only made contact with them 50 years ago, and relations were still cautious at best. The dragon's eyes opened, golden with vertical pupils that narrowed as they focused on Hannah. It tried to move but fell back with a pained sound. "Don't move," Hannah said, approaching slowly. "I'm here to help," the draconian spoke, its voice deep and strained. "Human. No help. For me, my name is Hannah. I'm a doctor," she said, kneeling beside the massive creature. Up close, she could see that its wounds were not just from the crash. Its scales were discolored in patches, and its breathing had a wet, rattling quality. "You're sick, dying," the draconian corrected. "Many. Of my kind. Same illness." Hannah opened her medical kit. It contained basic tools, bandages, antiseptics, pain relievers, a small scanner, and a few other essentials. Nothing designed for a creature like this. "What's your name?" she asked, trying to keep the draconian talking while she examined it. "Tejo," it replied. "I saw it. Cure. Failed." Hannah's scanner beeped as she passed it over Tejo's body. The readings made little sense. Draconian biology was not in her scanner's database, but she could see that its heart rate was erratic, and its body temperature was far too high, even for a species that ran hot. Her communicator buzzed. "Hannah, it's Doyen. Security is on the way." "What did you find?" "A draconian," she replied. "Male, I think. He's injured from the crash, but also suffering from some kind of illness. I need to bring him back to the station. Are you crazy?" Doyen's voice rose. "We don't have facilities for a draconian, and their government is very protective of their people. If he dies in our care, he'll die if I leave him here." Hannah cut in. "I took an oath to help all living beings, not just humans." She turned back to Tejo. "I'm going to help you, but I need to stop this bleeding first." The draconian watched her with those golden eyes. "Why? Help me." "Because you need it," Hannah said simply. She applied pressure to the worst of the wounds, using bandages that seemed tiny against the creature's massive form. As she worked, Hannah noticed something strange. The antiseptic she applied seemed to cause an immediate reaction, not harmful, but the scales around the wound began to regain some of their color. "Tejo, what are your symptoms?" "Before the crash?" she asked. "Weakness, scales falling, pain and blood," he said. "Our healers." "No cure," Hannah thought quickly. The scanner showed signs of something like an infection, but unlike anything she'd seen in humans. On a hunch, she took out a small vial of broad-spectrum antibiotics from her kit. This might help, or it might do nothing, she warned. I don't know enough about your biology, nothing. To lose, Taejo rumbled. Hannah administered the medicine through a patch on one of the few areas without scales. Within minutes, Taejo's breathing seemed to ease slightly. The sound of vehicles approached outside. Security had arrived. Dr. Kim. A voice called. Are you in there? Yes, Hannah shouted back. I need help transporting a patient. When the security team saw Taejo, they stopped in their tracks. That's a Draconian, the lead officer said. Yes, and he needs medical attention. Hannah replied firmly. Help me get him to the station. It took all of them working together to move Taejo onto a transport. By the time they reached the medical station, his condition had improved slightly. But he was still critical. Do-Yun met them at the door, his face a mask of worry. The director is furious. We're not equipped for this. Then we'll get equipped, Hannah said as she directed the team to place Taejo in the largest room they had. I need samples analyzed, and I need to contact anyone with knowledge of Draconian physiology. The Draconians keep their medical information private, Do-Yun argued. Hannah looked at Taejo, who watched her with those intelligent eyes. Then we'll figure it out ourselves. Something in my basic kit helped him. That means there's hope. As she set up monitoring equipment, Hannah felt the weight of what she was doing. She was treating a member of one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. Using little more than basic medical supplies and her own knowledge, I will help you, she promised Taejo, whatever it takes. The Draconian's eyes closed slowly. If you succeed, where our best failed, you will be remembered. Hannah didn't care about being remembered. She cared about saving her patient. With determination, she began her work, unaware that this moment would change not just her life, but the course of interspecies medicine forever. 3 days had passed since Taejo arrived at Epsilon 9. Hannah had barely slept, spending most of her time in the makeshift treatment room. The station's largest storage area had been cleared out to accommodate the massive Draconian. Equipment beeped steadily, monitoring his vital signs which, to Hannah's relief, had stabilized. His fever is down again, Hannah said, checking the readings. She looked at Do-Yun, who stood nervously by the door. The combination of antibiotics and anti-inflammatories is working. For now, Do-Yun replied. But Director Kang is worried. We've received 3 messages from Draconian space already. They want to know why one of their ships crashed here and why we're holding one of their people. Hannah frowned. We're not holding him. We're saving his life. Taejo's eyes opened slowly. His golden gaze seemed clearer today. They come, he rumbled, his voice stronger than it had been since his arrival. Who's coming? Hannah asked, moving closer to her patient. My people. A ship approaches. Taejo shifted his massive body, wincing slightly. They did not expect me to live. Hannah checked the bandages on his side. The wounds from the crash were healing well. More importantly, the strange illness that had been killing him was retreating. His scales were regaining their bright color, and the flaking had stopped. How did you know I was sick before the crash? Taejo asked. I didn't, Hannah admitted. But your symptoms didn't match your injuries. The discoloration of your scales, the way you were breathing, those weren't from the crash. The station's alarm sounded, but it wasn't the emergency tone. It was the signal for an approaching ship. Do-Yun's communicator buzzed. They're here, he said after listening to the message. A Draconian vessel just entered orbit. They're sending down a shuttle with medical personnel and officials. Hannah nodded. Let them come. Taejo needs proper care from those who understand his biology. They will be surprised, Taejo said, a rumbling sound that might have been a chuckle escaping his throat. None of our healers found a treatment that worked. 2 hours later, Hannah stood nervously as 3 Draconians entered the treatment room. They were smaller than Taejo, but still impressive. 2 wore simple gray coverings that Hannah guessed marked them as medical staff. The 3rd wore elaborate decorations and held himself with clear authority. I am Beck, Chief Medical Officer of the Draconian Collective, said one of the gray-clad figures. His voice was deep but smoother than Taejo's. This is Healer Gina and Council Representative Hyan. The official, Hyan, stepped forward. His scales were a deep red with gold patterns. We came expecting to retrieve Taijo's body. Instead, we find him alive and improving. He turned his sharp gaze to Hannah. Explain. Hannah straightened her back. Dr. Hannah Kim, medical researcher. Taijo crashed near our station 4 days ago. He was injured and suffering from an illness. I treated both conditions with the supplies I had available. Beck moved to Taijo's side, examining him with instruments far more advanced than anything at Epsilon 9. Impossible. He muttered. The blood toxin levels are decreasing. The scale regeneration has begun. He looked at Hannah with disbelief. What treatment did you use? Hannah walked to a small table where she had arranged the medications, a combination of basic antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, and a synthetic enzyme we use for radiation poisoning. I noticed that the enzyme seemed to help his body fight whatever was attacking his system. Gina, the female Draconian, picked up one of the medication vials. These are primitive, she said, though there was no insult in her tone, only wonder. We have tried treatments 1,000 times more advanced. Sometimes the simple answer is the right one, Hannah said. I think the illness attacks your species in a way that your advanced medicines can't reach. But these basic compounds work differently. Taijo spoke up. She saved me with a simple kit and knowledge. Our greatest healers failed where this human succeeded. Hyan circled the treatment area, his tail swishing in what Hannah guessed was agitation. This illness has killed hundreds of our people in the past year. Our best medical minds found no cure. He stopped in front of Hannah. Yet you, with primitive tools, found a treatment in days. I had an advantage, Hannah said. I approached the problem without assumptions. I didn't know what should or shouldn't work for a Draconian, so I tried what I knew. Beck was still examining Taijo. The treatment is working, but it's not a complete cure. The illness is still present, just suppressed. Hannah nodded. I know. I've been adjusting the dosages daily. I think with proper research, we could develop a full cure. The 3 Draconians exchanged looks. Then Hyan did something unexpected. He lowered his head slightly toward Hannah. The Draconian collective is in your debt. Dr. Kim, I was just doing my job, Hannah said. Uncomfortable with the formal acknowledgement. Your job? Gina asked. Your job was to help a stranger from another species, using methods you couldn't be sure would work. My job is to heal, Hannah said simply. It doesn't matter who or what the patient is. Beck turned to Hyan. We should bring her to the home world. If she can teach our healers this approach, we might save thousands. Hyan nodded slowly. Dr. Kim, would you be willing to share your knowledge with our medical teams? The collective would compensate you generously. Before Hannah could answer, Doyeon stepped forward. Dr. Kim is a Federation citizen. There are protocols for this kind of exchange. I'll go, Hannah said firmly. But I don't want compensation. I want cooperation. This could be the beginning of a medical exchange program between our species. Taijo made a rumbling sound of approval. Wise words. Both our peoples would benefit. Hyan studied Hannah with those intense eyes. You are not what I expected. Human doctor. Your reputation will spread quickly among our kind. Reputation? Hannah asked, confused. Gina explained. Draconians share information across vast distances. By tomorrow, every member of the collective will know of the human who saved a dying dragon with a simple kit. The holy healer, they will call you, Taijo said. One who brings life where death seemed certain. Hannah felt her face grow warm. That's really not necessary. It is our way, Hyan interrupted. Great deeds are remembered with fitting titles. As the Draconians continued discussing arrangements for Taijo's transfer and Hannah's visit to their homeworld, she found herself looking at her simple medical kit on the table. Who would have thought that such basic tools could bridge the gap between worlds? Outside the treatment room, word was already spreading through the station. The human doctor who had saved a Draconian with nothing but a basic medical kit was about to become known across the stars. For Hannah, it was just the beginning of a journey that would take her far beyond the small outpost of Epsilon 9 into a galaxy that would soon know her name. The Draconian homeworld of Ryle was unlike anything Hannah had ever seen. Massive crystal spires rose from lush green valleys. The sky had a purple tint, and 3 moons hung visible even in daylight. As the shuttle descended toward the medical center, Hannah pressed her face to the window, taking in the alien beauty. Impressed, asked Jiwoo, the human diplomat who had been assigned to accompany her. He was the only other human on the shuttle, sent by the Federation to ensure proper protocols were followed. "It's beautiful," Hannah said. "I never thought I'd see this place. Humans rarely get invited here. Humans rarely save the lives of important Draconians." Jiwoo replied with a small smile. "Taejo, it turns out, is from a highly respected bloodline. His family has considerable influence in the collective." The shuttle landed on a platform extending from one of the crystal buildings. A group of Draconians waited for them, their scales shimmering in various colors under the purple sky. "Remember the diplomatic briefing," Jiwoo whispered as they prepared to exit. "The Draconians value directness and honesty. Don't try to be humble about your achievements. They see that as dishonesty." Hannah nodded, though the advice went against her nature. She had never sought recognition for her work. As they stepped onto the platform, one of the waiting Draconians moved forward. His scales were a deep blue with silver patterns, and he wore an elaborate harness studded with glowing stones. "Dr. Hannah Kim," he said, his voice deep and resonant. "I am Minho, chief healer of the collective. Welcome to Ryle." Hannah bowed slightly. "Thank you for inviting me. The one who saved Taejo needs no invitation," Minho replied. "You are welcome in any Draconian territory until the end of days." The group moved inside the building, which was even more impressive within. The walls seemed to be alive with shifting colors, and the air was warm and humid. "Comfortable for Draconian physiology, we have prepared treatment rooms," Minho explained as they walked. "There are 17 patients here suffering from the same illness that afflicted Taejo. If your methods work on them as well, I'll do everything I can," Hannah promised. For the next week, Hannah worked alongside Draconian healers, adapting her treatment for each patient. The work was exhausting but rewarding. By the 5th day, all 17 patients showed improvement. The Draconian medical team watched in amazement as simple compounds from Hannah's kit, combined with their own medicines, fought back an illness that had baffled them for months. "It's the combination that matters," Hannah explained during a meeting with the medical council. "Your advanced treatments were too targeted. Sometimes you need broader approaches that support the body's natural defenses." Word of her success spread quickly. By the 2nd week, ships from 3 other species arrived at Ryle, seeking audiences with the Holy Healer. As the Draconians now called her, "This is getting out of hand," Jiwoo said one evening as they ate dinner in their quarters. "The Zolaria ambassador wants you to visit their homeworld next. They have a plague affecting their young. The Vosk have offered technology exchanges for your medical knowledge. Even the Turellians, who rarely leave their system, have sent representatives." Hannah pushed her food around her plate. "I'm just a doctor, not a diplomat. I want to help, but I don't know how to handle all these requests. That's why I'm here," Jiwoo said. "But I need to warn you, you're becoming a valuable asset to the Federation. These species are offering things our government has sought for decades. Just for your medical knowledge," Hannah frowned. "I didn't do this for political gain. No one thinks you did," Jiwoo assured her. "But that doesn't change the reality. You've become important, Hannah. More important than either of us expected." The next morning, Hannah was introduced to yet another delegation. This one was from the Galactic Council, a loose alliance of the major spacefaring species. Their representative was a tall, thin being with pale skin and large eyes, Dr. Kim. The representative said, "I am Suho of the Council. Your work has caught our attention." "I'm just doing what any doctor would do," Hannah replied. "No," Suho said firmly. "What you are doing is revolutionary. You are crossing species barriers with simple methods that work where advanced technology fails. The Council believes your approach could save millions across multiple worlds." Hannah felt a weight settling on her shoulders. "I want to help as many as I can. Then you should come with me to the Council station," Suho suggested. "From there, you could coordinate efforts across many worlds." Before Hannah could respond, Minho stepped forward. "The Holy Healer is currently treating Draconian patients. Her work here is not complete." Suho's large eyes blinked slowly. "Of course, but surely you understand that limiting her skills to one species is inefficient." "I don't think efficiency is the issue," Jiwoo interjected smoothly. Dr. Kim needs to complete her current work before considering new commitments. As the discussion continued, Hannah noticed Taejo entering the room. He had recovered well and now moved with the natural grace of his species. He approached her while the others debated. "They fight over you like hatchlings over a shiny stone," he said quietly. Hannah smiled. "I never wanted to be a shiny stone, yet you are," Taejo replied. "Your simple wisdom has value beyond measure. Be careful who you share it with." "I became a doctor to help people," Hannah said. "All people," Taejo nodded. "A noble purpose. But remember, not all who seek your help have noble intentions." Later that day, Hannah received a message from Doyeon back at Epsilon 9. The small outpost had been flooded with requests for information about her and her methods. 3 major pharmaceutical companies from Earth had sent representatives. The Federation Science Division wanted her research notes. "You've become famous," Doyeon wrote. "Everyone wants to know how you did it." That night, Hannah couldn't sleep. She stood by the window of her quarters, looking out at the 3 moons of Ryle. In just a few weeks, her life had changed completely. She was no longer just Dr. Hannah Kim, medical researcher on a remote outpost. She was the Holy Healer, a name whispered across star systems. A soft knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. It was Jiwoo. "Sorry to disturb you," he said, "but I thought you should know. 3 more delegations arrived tonight. The Vosk are offering advanced propulsion technology in exchange for your treatment methods. The Zoleri have promised rare minerals. And the Federation, they want you to return to Earth immediately." Hannah sighed. "What should I do?" Jiwoo leaned against the doorframe. "That depends on what you want. You could become very wealthy, very powerful, or very famous. Possibly all 3. "I just want to help people," Hannah said. "Then that's what you should do," Jiwoo replied. "But be prepared. The galaxy has noticed you now, Hannah Kim. And once you have the galaxy's attention, it rarely looks away." As Jiwoo left, Hannah turned back to the window. Somewhere out there, across the stars, people were suffering from illnesses their advanced medicine couldn't cure. And somehow, she had become their hope. The responsibility was enormous, but so was the opportunity to help, the Holy Healer. She whispered to herself, if that was to be her name, she would make sure she earned it. 3 months had passed since Hannah first set foot on Ryle. What had begun as a simple medical mission had grown into something much larger. The Draconians had given her a laboratory in one of their crystal towers, where she now worked with a team of scientists from 5 different species. "Try adding more of the enzyme," Hannah suggested to Sunwoo, a human biochemist who had joined her team 2 weeks ago. "The Draconian samples respond better to higher concentrations." Sunwoo adjusted the mixture carefully. It's amazing how something so simple can be so effective across different biologies. The laboratory door slid open and Taejo entered. He had become Hannah's unofficial assistant and protector, rarely leaving her side during important meetings. "The Galactic Council representatives have arrived again," he announced. "They are most insistent on speaking with you." Hannah sighed. The council had been pressuring her for weeks to share her complete research. "Tell them I'll meet with them after we finish today's tests." Taejo nodded and left. Hannah turned back to the microscope, where she was examining tissue samples from a Draconian patient. The illness that had nearly killed Taejo had been contained, but not eliminated. Hundreds of Draconians still suffered from milder forms of the disease. "I think I see a pattern," she said, adjusting the microscope. "Look at this, Sunwoo." The biochemist leaned in to see. "The cellular damage. It's too uniform." "Exactly," Hannah said. "Natural diseases don't attack cells with this kind of precision. This was designed." Sunwoo's eyes widened. "You think it's artificial? A bioweapon?" "I think it's very old," Hannah replied. "Maybe created centuries ago and somehow reactivated. The pattern matches descriptions in some ancient Draconian medical texts Minho showed me." They worked through the afternoon, testing their theory. By evening, Hannah was convinced. The illness affecting the Draconians wasn't natural. It was an engineered pathogen, designed to target their specific biology. When she finally met with the Galactic Council representatives, Hannah was tired but determined. Suho was there again, along with representatives from 3 other major species. "Dr. Kim," Suho began, "the council has reviewed your preliminary findings. We believe your treatment methods could be standardized for use throughout Council space. I'm still refining the treatment, Hannah said. And I've discovered something important. The draconian illness isn't natural. It's an engineered pathogen, very old but still effective. The room fell silent. Suho exchanged glances with the other representatives. That is concerning, he said finally. If you are correct, this raises serious questions about its origin and purpose. I believe it was created as a weapon, Hannah continued. But the interesting thing is why my treatment works. The compounds in my kit contain elements that weren't common when this weapon was designed. They interact with the pathogen in ways its creators couldn't have anticipated. One of the other representatives, a reptilian being named Kido, leaned forward. If this is true, your discovery is even more valuable than we thought. A defense against ancient bioweapons would be strategically significant. Hannah didn't like the way he emphasized those last words. My goal is to heal, not to create strategic advantages. Of course, Suho said smoothly. But you must understand the implications. If one ancient bioweapon has resurfaced, others might as well. Your methods could save countless lives across many worlds. After the meeting, Hannah returned to her laboratory to find Minho waiting for her. The chief healer looked troubled. You told them about the weapon, he said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Hannah replied. It's important to understand what we're fighting. Minho's tail swished anxiously. There are those in the collective who believe this information should have remained private. Ancient weapons are dangerous not just in their effects, but in the knowledge they represent. I'm a doctor, not a politician, Hannah said. I need to understand the disease to cure it. And now the council understands it too. Minho pointed out. Be careful, holy healer. Knowledge can heal or harm, depending on who wields it. That night, Hannah couldn't sleep again. She went to the laboratory and found Sunwoo still working. I think I've got it, he said excitedly when she entered. Look at this. On his screen was a molecular model of the pathogen, alongside a compound Hannah recognized from her medical kit, the enzyme from the radiation treatment. She said, yes, Sunwoo confirmed. Combined with compounds from draconian medicine and some earth plants, it creates a perfect neutralizing agent. This could be the universal formula we've been looking for. Something that works not just on this pathogen, but potentially on similar engineered diseases. Hannah studied the formula. We need to test it. They worked through the night, running simulations and small-scale tests. By morning, they had a promising candidate for a universal treatment. Hannah was about to share the news with Minho when Jiwoo burst into the lab. Looking worried, we have a problem, he said. The Federation has sent a special envoy. They want exclusive rights to your formula. What? Why? Hannah asked. Because the Vosk Empire has offered you citizenship and unlimited research funding if you'll work exclusively with them, Jiwoo explained. And the Zeleri Confederation has suggested that your treatment methods would be worth a military alliance. Everyone wants what you've discovered. Hannah. Sunwoo looked up from his workstation. It's worse than that. I've been monitoring communications. 3 different pharmaceutical corporations from Earth are claiming they had prior research that led to your discoveries. They're trying to patent aspects of your work. Hannah felt a headache building. This is ridiculous. I'm trying to save lives, not start a galactic bidding war. Taejo entered the laboratory, his expression grim. The council has called an emergency session. They are discussing the strategic implications of your discovery. What does that mean? Hannah asked. It means, Jiwoo said quietly, that they're considering classifying your work as sensitive information. If they do, you won't be able to share it freely. Hannah looked at the formula on Sunwoo's screen. The universal treatment they had worked so hard to create might never reach those who needed it most. I won't let that happen, she said firmly. This formula doesn't belong to any one species or government. It belongs to everyone who needs it. What are you going to do? Sunwoo asked. Hannah thought for a moment. Something that might end my career, but will save lives. She turned to Taejo. I need your help. Can you get me access to the Draconian Communication Network? The one that reaches across your territories? Taejo's eyes narrowed. You plan to broadcast the formula, not just to Draconians, Hannah said. To everyone. Every world, every species, every doctor who might need it. The Council will be furious. Jiwoo warned. The Federation too. Probably, Hannah agreed. But they can't unshare knowledge once it's out there. Taejo straightened to his full height. I will help you, Holy Healer. This is why my people gave you that name, not for your skills alone, but for your heart. As they began preparing the broadcast, Hannah knew she was crossing a line. The simple doctor from Epsilon 9 was about to challenge the most powerful organizations in the galaxy. But as she looked at the formula that could save countless lives, she knew it was the right thing to do. The universal formula was too important to be controlled by any one group. It belonged to the stars, asterisk. The Draconian Communication Center hummed with energy as Hannah, Taejo, and Sunwoo worked quickly to prepare their broadcast. The vast room, filled with crystal technology that Hannah still didn't fully understand, would allow them to send their message across thousands of star systems. Are you sure about this? Sunwoo asked, his fingers moving rapidly over the control panel. Once we send this, there's no taking it back. Hannah nodded firmly. I'm sure. The formula is ready, and people need it. Taejo stood guard by the door. We must hurry. The council representatives have called for an emergency meeting with the collective leadership. They suspect what we plan to do. Hannah took a deep breath and faced the communication array. Sunwoo had set up a simple recording system that would capture her message and the formula data. Ready. When you are, he said. Hannah straightened her lab coat and began speaking as the recording started. My name is Dr. Hannah Kim. 3 months ago, I treated a Draconian patient with a simple medical kit. What I discovered led to a treatment for an engineered pathogen that has affected many species across our galaxy. This pathogen was created as a weapon long ago, but my team has developed a universal formula to neutralize it. She explained the formula in clear, simple terms that any medical professional could understand. She described how to create it using commonly available compounds and how to adapt it for different species. This knowledge belongs to everyone, she concluded. No government, corporation, or council should control who lives and who dies. I offer this freely in the hope that it helps those in need. As she finished, Sunwoo completed the data package that contained detailed instructions and research notes. Broadcasting now, he said. Pressing the final control, the crystal arrays pulsed with light as the message shot outward, carried by the ancient Draconian network to worlds Hannah had never even heard of. In moments, the formula that could save countless lives was spreading across the stars, beyond anyone's ability to contain it. It's done, Taejo said. A note of pride in his rumbling voice. The door to the communication center slid open. Jiwoo stood there, along with Minho and several Draconian officials. You're too late, Hannah said. The formula has been shared. To her surprise, Jiwoo smiled. I know, it's already being received on Federation worlds. Medical centers are downloading the data as we speak. Minho stepped forward. The collective has decided to support your action, Holy Healer. It was the right choice, though not an easy one. But the council, Hannah began, is divided. Jiwoo finished for her. Some members are furious. Others are relieved. The Zeleri have already announced they will begin producing the treatment immediately. One of the Draconian officials, a female with striking green scales, approached Hannah. I am Minji, speaker for the collective. What you have done today honors our people. The Draconians do not forget those who act with courage and compassion. Thank you, Hannah said, feeling the tension drain from her body. I was afraid I had created a diplomatic incident. Oh, you have, Jiwoo said with a small laugh. Several, in fact, but you've also saved more lives than you'll ever know. In the days that followed, the response to Hannah's broadcast was overwhelming. Reports came in from across the galaxy of successful treatments using her formula. The Draconian patients showed the most dramatic improvements, but the adapted versions worked on 6 other species affected by similar pathogens. Not everyone was pleased, of course. 3 Federation pharmaceutical companies filed formal complaints. The Vosk Empire recalled their ambassador from Ryle in protest, and the Galactic Council issued a stern statement about unauthorized sharing of sensitive medical information. But for every critic, there were 100 voices of support. Doctors across the galaxy implemented Hannah's treatment, and sent back their results, often with improvements and adaptations for specific species. 1 week after the broadcast, Minji approached Hannah with a proposal. The collective wishes to establish an interspecies medical exchange, she said. A place where healers from all worlds can share knowledge freely, without political interference. We would be honored if you would help create this institution. Hannah was touched. I would be happy to help, but I'm not an administrator. I'm a doctor, which is precisely why you should guide its formation, Minji said. This exchange must be built on healing principles, not political ones. With Minji's help, Hannah began planning the exchange. They chose a neutral location, a small moon orbiting a gas giant at the intersection of several major trade routes. The Draconians provided the initial funding, but soon other species contributed resources and personnel. 3 months later, as the first buildings of the exchange were being constructed, Hannah received a message from Director Kang at Epsilon 9. Your position is still open. The message read, the Federation Science Division has withdrawn their complaints. You're welcome to return whenever you wish. Hannah stood on the balcony of her quarters on Ryle. Considering the offer, she had accomplished more than she ever dreamed possible. But part of her missed the simplicity of her old life. Taejo found her there, watching the 3 moons rise. You are thinking of returning to your outpost, he said. It wasn't a question. How did you know? Hannah asked. Your eyes look toward the stars where your home lies, Taejo replied. It is natural to miss familiar places. The exchange is established now, Hannah said. It doesn't need me anymore. Perhaps not, Taejo agreed. But there will always be those who seek the holy healer. Hannah smiled at the title she had finally grown accustomed to. I'm still just a doctor who had the right tools at the right time. You are more than that, Taejo said firmly. You are the one who reminded us all that healing transcends borders and politics. That is a rare wisdom. 2 weeks later, Hannah stood in the docking bay, her few possessions packed for the journey back to Epsilon 9. Minji, Sunwoo, Jiwoo, and Taejo had come to see her off. The exchange will continue your work, Minji assured her. Already we have healers from 23 species sharing knowledge, and I've decided to stay. Sunwoo added, there's still so much to learn from combining our different medical traditions. Jiwoo handed her a small crystal, a gift from the Federation Science Division. Your research grant has been renewed for 10 years. No strings attached. Finally, Taejo stepped forward. The massive Draconian lowered his head to Hannah's level, a sign of deep respect. You saved my life with a simple kit, he said. Now the galaxy calls you the Holy Healer. Both are true, but neither captures what you have given us. What's that? Hannah asked. Hope, Taejo said simply. The knowledge that even in this vast universe, compassion still matters. As her ship departed from Ryle, Hannah watched the crystal spires recede into the distance. She was returning to her small outpost, to the simple work she loved. But she knew now that her reach extended far beyond Epsilon 9, across the stars. Doctors were using her formula to save lives. The exchange was growing, bringing together healers who might never have shared their knowledge otherwise. And somewhere, on worlds she would never visit, people looked to the sky and whispered stories of the human who had saved a dying dragon. With a simple kit, the holy healer was going home, but her legacy would continue among the stars.